What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to get into number 1 Alabama versus number 3 Ohio State in a game for all the marbles with all the storylines, all the analysis, all the takes. If you are here for the live stream, I appreciate you being here. We'll get to some of your questions as we go throughout the show, but there are a number of things I want to touch on as I just got done watching 2 hours of Zoom press conferences featuring Alabama's Nick Saban, Devontae Smith. Justin Fields was not made available to us for Ohio State. More about that in a little bit. Ryan Day was, as was Tuff Borland and Trey Sermon. But I want to start with some news and then get into some news. Off the top rope, Matt Zenitz at AL.com is reporting that Jaylen Waddle is set to practice tomorrow afternoon. Now, many of you saw the video that Devontae Smith posted weeks ago about Jaylen Waddle being back. What I thought was funny about that is when Saban was asked about it, he was asking the reporter, now where did you get your information? How do you know that? And I was like, yo, man, it's right there on the gram. You can go check it out. Devontae out there telling on you. But if Jaylen Waddle is to play in this game on Monday versus Ohio State, I checked in with my favorite betting analyst, and dude told me in Vegas, you move the line 9 to 10, right? You move the line from 7.5 to 9 to 10. That's a 1.5, 3 points, 2.5 points for Jaylen Waddle playing. That's how big a deal this dude is. 25 catches, over 500 yards. He's the best player at Alabama, and he ain't going to win the Heisman Trophy. Think about that for a second there. So on top of having Devontae Smith and Najee Harris and Mac Jones to deal with, to say nothing of Miller Forrestall and Jaleel Billingsley, you also have to game plan at least a little bit for the return of one Jaylen Waddle. But what you got if you are Ohio State is Justin Fields. And I want to get into Fields. I also want to tell some stories about Nick Saban in the process and get into a little bit of the insular details around college football, one of the reasons that I know that y'all love this channel. So I want to start with Fields because I'm in this mode right now where I'm reading a ton about Nick Saban the last couple of weeks. Many of you know that and have heard me tell you stories from Monty Burke's excellent book called Saban, The Making of a Coach. But I've also been doing a lot of reading about Urban Meyer for reasons that I think all of you know. We'll talk about that later. And he's getting into this bit about leadership and above-the-line thinking and how he has evolved into the kind of person he is. The one that would be furious and frustrated in 2000 when he took over Bowling Green to the guy who's more curious about what went wrong in 2018 after winning a national championship, of course, at Ohio State and Florida. One of, I believe, just 3 head coaches in college football history to win national championships at 2 different institutions. But last year, we were looking at Justin Fields as a complement to the Ohio State offense. We weren't necessarily looking at Justin Fields as a feature to the Ohio State offense. So much so that going into the game last year against Michigan, that's what it felt like. It felt like Justin Fields was the trigger man for an offense that prided itself on running the football. J.K. Dobbins goes for over 2,000 yards. Chris Olave coming into his own. Benjamin Victor still making the hard catches look easy and the easy catches look hard. And you had an outstanding defense coordinated by Jeff Hafley where you could play single high coverage, get the ball back, get it into Justin Fields' hand, and then you let that offense do what it does. But when he went down with a knee injury to his left knee in the game, goes into the tent, people gasp. And it was the first time that you thought for just a second, oh man, this is how important Justin Fields is. You see Chris Chugginoff come in there for a little bit, and then we see Justin Fields triumphantly go back out, take the snap from center, roll to his left on his bad knee, and drop a dime in the back of the end zone to then true freshman Garrett Wilson. And I really enjoyed that play because that was his signal. That was his Heisman moment. And of course, he and Chase Young were invited to the Heisman ceremony for, we thought Chase Young was the best player in college football. Joe Burrow obviously won the Heisman Trophy. And Chase Young is playing in the playoffs this year after winning a divisional in the NFC East. Congratulations to him. But after the Michigan game, and then you see the Clemson pick, goes into offseason. Didn't expect much to change, and then we get a pandemic. And in that pandemic, We got all matter of challenges to you, to me, to those teams. So much so that the Big Ten decided it was going to cancel the season. Fields, along with several other players, led let's not call it a revolt. Let's call it a campaign. A campaign to reinstate their seasons and to give them an opportunity to go play for a national championship, to go play for this moment right here with We Want to Play. And that was the first time that we saw Fields really assuming that position of leadership for Ohio State and being its captain, being its talisman. And then we got to see what that looked like against Nebraska, a game where the defense gave up 200 yards rushing. They didn't look outstanding for any other game except perhaps Michigan State, right? Indiana, that defense gets exposed. But I go back to this when we talk about Justin Fields and we talk about what he's been through to get here. He could have played professional baseball coming out of high school. And the reason I bring that up is when I was doing this feature about Fields for Fox Sports, one of the stories that his father Avant told me was he got coaches and general managers from the major league saying, can you ask Justin to just graduate in the spring and not graduate early? That way we can draft him and then we can pay him for 30 days of service and he can be in the organization. Fields said, no, I want to go to Georgia. I want to play football. He's a football player. He is a quarterback. He has everything to prove. And he wanted to get back to this moment right now to prove that he is the best quarterback in college football. He went head up against the guy that many people believe is the best quarterback in college football, and in a pitcher's duel was outstanding. We see the injury that he suffered to his ribs. Now, Ryan Day has come out and said he expects Justin to play on Monday. He would not say exactly what the injury was or how significant the injury was. But we saw it. We saw James Skalski go leading with the crown of his helmet into Justin Fields' side. We saw him grimace about it. We saw him have a hard time, it looked like, protecting himself. And we were all asking these questions about whether or not he could protect himself. And then following the game, Fields told media, I wasn't made aware exactly what was done. I was just told that I could play and I wanted to play. And as a competitor, yes, you want to play, but you also have to look out for the kiddo there. And you have to look out for his future. But we saw in the second half how good he looked and how dominant that Ohio State offense was against Brent Venables' defense, just destroying them. 49 points, 639 yards, 385 through the air, 193 from Trey Sermon. But that was the moment when it became clear to us once he went off the field that he is the feature of that Ohio State offense. He is the straw stirring the drink. They move as he moves. So much so that they're a totally different football team if Justin Fields is not on the field for them. It's a remarkable story, and I'm really privileged to be in this position to tell it to you in this platform that you all have helped me build. But I wanted to lead with that because that's where we are. We're in a very, very cool spot where we get to see a guy like Justin Fields become legend in the Sugar Bowl.